Alright, Shalom, Shalom. I want to give all praise to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, Ba'Shem Rakah, Kadash, double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. Salutations to the Akim out there, spreading his truth like wildfire. And Shalom to the the elect among the Israelite foreigners who look like the other nations, but the Spirit bears witness with our spirit that they're the children of Yahweh, Ba'Shem, Yahushai. All right, what the subject I wanted to go into is war is unavoidable. At this point, war, the Third World War is unavoidable. You have this new president of Iran, Ibrahim Raisi, who's he's a hardliner. He's militaristic, and they just, hey man, you got him, then you got Naftali Bennett, who's a hardliner, right wing, extreme right wing, 1948er. So least of the flock, hey, they got the right person to draw Babylon in. So you got that, you got Ibrahim, you got that, and then you got Ibrahim Raisi, in Iran, because which is a sign of war coming, because Iran, because you got two hardliners on the opposite sides, ready to basically, ready to go at it, And let me get into this article. Conservative judge Ibrahim Raisi has been declared the victor of Iran's presidential election. As the clear frontrunner, Raisi received congratulations from rival candidates. Hours before preliminary results were announced. Iran's Interior Ministry announced the final results on Saturday, showing that Raisi had won in a landslide victory. Ministry said that ministry said that 28.9 million Iranians participated in the election. Raisi received over 17.9 million votes, with the rest split between 3 other candidates. Second place, Mohsen Rizai received, 3.4 million votes. In an address to the country, Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei said the winner of the election was the Iranian nation. That participation at the polls marked a victory against propaganda, quote-unquote propaganda of the enemy's mercenary media. As far as news reported, Raisi's 3 rival candidates conceded ahead of the release of the preliminary results. Outgoing President Hassan Rouhani met with Raisi on Saturday to personally congratulate his successor. Outgoing President of Iran Hassan Rouhani personally congratulates his successor Ibrahim Raisi for his election as 8th President of Iran in a meeting on Saturday after he was garnered over 7.8 million votes by people out of more than 28.6 million ballots. Muslim cleric campaigned on the slogan, quote-unquote, popular administration, strong Iran, and promised to tackle government corruption. Raisi's platform also called for measures to combat poverty, create jobs, and rein in inflation. A close ally of Khamenei, Raisi could further complicate strained relations between Tehran and Washington during his 4-year term, because he's a right-winger, At the same time, he's also, he's a right-winger, of Iran. So he's militaristic, so I basically, the war party, man, in charge. The current Chief Justice of Iran was targeted by U.S. sanctions in 2019 due to his alleged involvement in the execution of political prisoners in the 1980s, as well as crackdowns on civil unrest in the late 2000s. So, you have Raisi, he's the president now. He's a captain now over there in Iran. Then you have fucking Naftali Bennett, man, who's a hardliner as well. He's a right winger as well, And so, the war party is basically in charge over there as well. It's not a coincidence that you have that, the war party in charge of both Iran and the 1948ers. So-called Jews. Israel's Bennett. Ah, shit, slacking. Yep, got this article. And basically, yeah, man, hey, you know, about this devil, man. They got up there now. You know, this devil, basically, you know, he is gonna be even harder on those so-called Palestinians over there. You know, and probably in Iran as well. On this well, of course, you know, on this episode of Going on the Ground, we speak to. Oh yeah. There's some in there I want to get. George Burmall, former chief of staff to former Israeli PM Netanyahu and chief strategist and poster for the new Israeli PM Naftali Bennett. He discusses a summit between U.S. President Joe Biden and Russian President Vladimir Putin, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky's push for NATO membership, whether Naftali, that's also going to cause problems. Whether Naftali Bennett assuming the executive office in Israel will cause any real shift considering his opposition to a two-state solution and previous bragging about killing Arabs. The turn back to armed struggle for the Palestinian resistance and more. Okay. Yeah, so, it's going to lead to that as well, Reminds me of that. Hold on. Remind me of that scripture to talk about an evil ambassador. Basically, president, he's like the top head of state and shit. So he's like above the Secretary of State, also handles that. So it's like having a bad ambassador, an evil ambassador. Um, finally speak to, I'm going to keep going. Claire Daly, MEP, she discusses the Julian Assange case and shows hypocrisy of the West calling out Russia on human rights abuses and Alexei Navalny's arrest, because that basically all the shit leading to World War III. The hypocrisy as well as pissing these other countries and nations off. The hawkish framing of the Putin-Biden summit by the Biden administration, West tensions with China, why the policy is pushing EU closer to the US. That's what they try to do anyways. The myth of the Chinese threat, Israel's recent actions, Ireland's recent actions against Israel's occupation of Palestine, painting of Russia and China's imminent threats, and much more, because so yeah, you basically have shit heating up over there in the Middle East. This gonna lead to more of that, and between Russia and the U.S. So between Russia and the U.S. and between the 1948ers and the Iranians. Let me get some scriptures on that. I'm gonna get Surely the least of the flock shall draw them in. Jeremiah 50, verse 44, verse 45. Therefore hear ye the counsel of Yahweh that he had taken against Babylon and his purposes that he had proposed against the land of the Chaldeans. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their habitation desolate with them. Verse 46. Hold on. Actually, let me get this. Expounds on this point. Jeremiah is like precept to it. Jeremiah 49 and 20. Therefore hear the counsel of Yahweh that he had taken against Edom, and his purposes that he had proposed against the inhabitants of Teman. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their habitations desolate with them. You know. Verse 21, the earth is moved at the noise of their fall, at the cry. The noise was heard in the Red Sea, and then you see that with Babylon too. The earth was moved at the noise of their fall, at the noise of the taking of Babylon. You know, the earth was shook. You know, a cry is heard among the nations. World War III has all coming. It's unavoidable at this point. It has been unavoidable. But not only is it unavoidable, it's close. You know, two hardliners in charge of each country. Verse 9, Joel chapter 3. Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles. Hey, let me get that World War III scripture. The third woe coming soon. Revelation 11 and 14. Let me get 14. The second woe is past, and behold, the third woe cometh quickly. Yep. Let me get this. Verse 13, in the same hour was there a great earthquake. And, you know, because it goes into the earth was moved. at the noise of their fall. In the same hour, verse 13, and Satan in the same hour was there a great earthquake, and the 10th part of the city fell, and the earthquake were slain of men. 7,000 of the remnant were affrighted, gave glory to the power of heaven. In the same hour, that last hour, all this is going on. Same hour that this is going on. Verse 11, after 3 days and a half, the spirit of life from power Yahweh entered into them, and they stood upon their feet, and great fear fell upon them which saw them. Verse 12, and they heard a great voice from heaven saying unto them, Come up hither. And they ascended up to heaven in a cloud, and their enemies beheld them. Showing you that deliverance is going to come at the same time. He's raising up his men now, giving them the spirit of life. Standing on our feet. Esau knows it's over. World War III. Or the kings of the east are being gathered. Revelation 16. Wait, let me get this. Esau knows his time is short. That's why he's moving. Revelation 12 and 12. Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devils come out down to you, having great wrath, because he know that he had but a short time. And it's almost up. Revelation 16 and hold on. Revelation 12 and 13, and when the dragon saw that he was cast into the earth, he persecuted the woman which brought forth the man child. The devils are seeing that they're falling. So, guess what? When it fully hits them, they're gonna take it out on you Jakes. And the real target is the elect, really. But ain't one of you Jake, you 2/3 are just gonna be mowed down out here. In the same, hold on. Verse 14. Hold on. Let me get Revelation. Wait, hold on. Verse 14. And to the woman we're given verse 16. Let's hold on. might get some. Hold on. Hold on. Alright. Interrupt. Slag ahead. Interruption. Revelation 16 and 13. And I saw 3 unclean spirits like frogs come out of the mouth of the dragon, and out of the mouth of the beast, and out of the mouth of the false prophet. Verse 14. For they are the spirits of devils, working miracles. Wait, let me get verse 12. The 6th change. Okay, let me just continue that one. Which go forth unto the kings of the earth and of the whole world to gather them to the battle of that great day of power almighty. Verse 15. Behold, I come as a thief. Blessed is he that watcheth and keepeth his garment, lest he walk naked and they see his shame. Verse 12. And they gathered them together into a place called in the Hebrew tongue Armageddon, really it's Armageddon. Which means mount of the troops. Verse 17. Wait, let me and the 7th angel poured out his vial into the air, and there came a great voice out of the temple of heaven from the throne, saying, It is done. And let me get into verse 18. And there were voices and thunders and lightnings, and there was a great earthquake, such as was not since met were upon the earth. So mighty an earthquake is so great. Verse 19. And the great city was divided into 3 parts, and the cities of the nations fell, and great Babylon came in remembrance before power Yahweh. to give unto her the cup of the wine of the fierceness of his wrath. Verse 20, and every island fled away, and the mountains were not found. Verse 21, and there fell upon men a great hail out of heaven, every stone about the weight of a talent, and men blasphemed power because of the plague of the hail, for the plague thereof was exceedingly great. No, it's talking about nukes, talking about missiles. No hail weighs about a talent, and a talent is heavy, real heavy. And let me get Joel 9, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war, wake up the mighty men, let all the men of war draw near. Over verse 1, I'm going to start there. For behold, in those days and in that time, when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem. In that time, verse 2, I will also gather all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Yahushua, and will plead them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land. Hey, it's 1948ers and, the chief house of Satan, our chief adversary, the chief house of our chief adversary. Number one on the Psalms 83 list. You know who they are. Hey, and Amalek and the Ishmaelites, Palestinians who are mainly Ishmael, when they have scattered among the nations and parted my land. Verse 3, and they have cast lots for my people, and have given a boy for an harlot, and sold a girl for wine, that they might drink. Talking about that transatlantic slave trade, among many others. He had the transoriental slave trade. He had that slave trade, Trans-Sahara, of course, Transoriental. He even had Northern Kingdom, the children of Jerusalem, being sold into slavery, shipped off. Not just Southern Kingdom, not just Judah, right? But not just so-called black people, but so-called Latinos and natives, even speckled birds, being sold into slavery. Verse 4, yeah, and what have ye to do with me? All being put on ships. Verse 4, yeah, and what have ye to do with me, O Tyre and Zidon, and all the coast of Palestine? Will ye render me a recompense? And if ye recompense me swiftly and speedily, will I return your recompense upon your own head. Tyre and Zidon, the Hamites, Canaanites to be exact, so-called Africans, the former, those so-called Africans that used to inhabit our land before, these so-called black people, Latinos and Native Americans, you Israelites, before our people took their land from the Canaanites, from these dirty doo-doo eating, booty scratching Hamites, man. So those Hamites selling our people into slavery to Esau and the Ishmael was payback for that. And he had Ishmael, which inhabited the land, inhabited our land for a while, all the coast of Palestine, right? Sold our people to Amalek, sold our people to the so-called white men, and the rest of Esau, modern day Grecians. Verse 5, because ye have taken my silver and my gold, and have carried into your temples my goodly pleasant things. Verse 6, the children also of Judah and the children of Jerusalem have ye sold unto the Grecians, that ye might remove them far from their border. So the children also of Judah and the children of Jerusalem have ye sold unto the Grecians, that ye might remove them far from their border. The people who run this modern day Greco-Roman society, and back then as well. These so-called self-proclaimed white people, these Edomites, man. Starting with the chief house. It also goes into the chief house because those 1948ers, Amalekites, man, 1948ers, they're also inhabiting the coast of Palestine. They're also inhabiting our land now. And they're the ones that own those ships that took you so-called black people, you Judites, to the Americas. Took you Gadites, you Northern Kingdom, you Latinos and natives. What took you so-called black people, so-called black Americans, you Haitians, which are those Judah, you Haitians, which are, majority Levi, and you West Indians, which majority Benjamin, from the west coast of Africa, from the west coast of Europe, I might add, because our people was ruling Europe, and they owned the slave ships that shipped us off, and owned major plantations too, shipped us off to Babylon, shipped us off, which is America, shipped us off. A lot of us to Babylon, America, shipped us off to other parts of Europe, shipped us off to the Caribbean, shipped us off to other parts of the world, man. Australia, you name it, our people was scattered there. A lot of waste was through slavery. And you had the hold on. You had that, because you had Jake Sells ruling Europe being sold into slavery, and Jake Sells ruling Africa being sold into slavery. Then you had the Northern Kingdom, the indigenous peoples of the Americas, so-called Latinos and Native Americans today, being shipped off to Europe, to the Caribbean, other parts of the Americas, right? To Asia. Yeah, the Trans-Pacific slave trade. Even Africa. Even Africa. You had yeah, you had them shipped off to Esau's colonies over there in Africa as well. This is what these heathens did to our people. Which is hold on. Which a lot of as it goes into a lot of you so-called black people, a lot are Judah, but you have a lot of Gad scattered among so-called black people. Yeah. Hey, you even had you just had our people being taken into slavery from wherever they was scattered to. So much history that this devil covered up about our people and continues to do. Trans-Pacific slave trade, Jake Stat was already scattered among Moab and Ammon and shit. And it was being shipped, and even Japheth and all that. It was being shipped to the Americas and shit. uh, shit. Yeah, you had the Trans-Pacific slave trade, Manila Galleon. Yeah, the Jakes that was scattered over there. That was shipped off to Central America and shit. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Uh, shit, got this article. I'm gonna move forward. Hold on. Team. Basically, it's a whole history of these Edomites enslaving the Jakes that was scattered over there in among those Japhites in the Philippines, selling them, shipping them off to the Americas. Slavery was history of hold on, history of Spanish slavery in the Philippines. Slavery was widespread in the Philippine Islands before the archipelago was integrated into the Spanish Empire. Hold on. Policy banning slavery that the Spanish crown established first empire in the Americas were extended to its colonies in the Philippines. The viceroyalty in New Spain oversaw the Philippine administratively and terminus of the Manila galleon. Acapulco sometimes saw the importation of Philippine slaves, which were labeled chinos. Crown policies regarding the favorable treatment of indigenous populations and prohibition of slavery were enforced in the Americas since the early 6th century. These were initially not always adhered to. Over time and following, with the spread of Christianity, slavery, chattel slavery, right? Hardcore slavery was completely abolished. You know, being specific, because you Jakes are still slaves down there too. Prior to the Spanish, it just changed form. But yeah, prior to Spanish colonization, Filipino society was composed of organic societies with small populations, low production levels. To harness the rich natural resources of the country, that they just therefore increased the manpower and made the legal penalties not limited to fines, but also included labor services. The debtors also did the same for the creditors, since a lot of them did not have any property to offer as collaterals. This lack in manpower also brought wars that not only did widen up barangay, the fuck is that? Barangays territories, but as like a a a barrio, yep. It's a barrio. It's like a little district. Not only did widening up Barangay's territories, but also increased the number of captives who could work for them. Those descendants were called Alipin and Tagalog or Maripun and Visayan. Social classes. Alipin refers to the lowest social class among the various cultures of the Philippines before the arrival of the 16th and 17th century. Oripun also referred to them as that. The caste system. You had the 2 miles which were on top, you know, and Ari Putin was the slaves, bro. So it's probably Jakes that were catching curses even before they arrived. Being scattered among the heathen. Yeah, Timawa was like the middle class and shit. Yep, the freedmen or middle class belonged to the Timawa or Harlika class. Yep. So before you probably had the Japhites, and then you had our people that was under them. Yep. They're the privileged intermediate class of that society. Yep. Between the Yuri and the Tumal. Yep. They're originally descendants of illegitimate children of the Datu, like Kalman or Wise or Yuri concubines, no, whatever, concubines or the illegitimate children of the Venacot princesses. That's some of them. That Timawa class included former slaves and the illegitimate children of the Maganu class, few known as these Timawa were referred to with the title Ganuva. Okay. Few known as Timao, or Timnimawa, originated from Yuripong about the freedom or set free by the masters. They were usually distinguished from freeborn Timawa. Timawa class included former slaves and illegitimate children of Maganu class. Some was basically like the history of our people's already being oppressed over there, hey, even by them Japhites. and then they was being sold into slavery. Going back to this article, these slaves are traded legally from one owner to another. The people on Urdatu also paid tributes, except for his personal supporters called Timawa, who accompanied him in war. In wars. Hold on. So he had even like the lower slaves, which were probably like look more like Judah. You know, these Esau and even these heathens work. Oppressing our people. Then you had slaves would probably look more like lighter skin, look more like those Japhites, those so-called Pacific Islanders. Anyways, let me get into this article. Gets to the point. Spaniards considered it legitimate to enslave non-Christian captives from, really it should say non-Edomite. That's what they mean. That's the truth. From wars and trade them legally in the past. That's because, okay, they did not consider this as, oh, they didn't think it was wrong, basically. Basically, the Esau thought, Esau still think he's superior, in fact, Esau, thinks he's like the most high. There were two major types of slaves. There's esclavos, negros, and Judites, who well, of course they're going to call it Judah. Africans purchased from Portugal. And by the way, the original slaves, they was the first Judite slaves to be sold into slavery was those Moors. As well as our people that were into Judaism back in the land, back in Spain. They didn't believe in the New Testament. And esclavos, blancos, specklebirds, who were models taken from wars. They were usually sold in public auctions. So you had specklebird descendants of the Moors. They're usually sold in public auctions. People from both the middle and upper classes bought them as well as the clergy. So you had them, and then you even had these specklebird jakes. They all scattered among Moab, Ammon, and Japheth as well. You even had Judites that was shipped off from Northern Kingdom lands. They were shipped to Northern Kingdom lands and then shipped off over there too. Basically, they was shipped in Northern Kingdom over there too. Especially Ishkar, so-called Mexicans. There was no Spanish soldier who didn't have, a Northern Kingdom working for him as a slave and shit. And also they was trying to like basically, take our heritage from us and basically force Cesare Borgia on us over there. Slovakia. Basically, you had they was shipping the Jakes over here, shipping them over there. So there's just more history of that happening going on until like 1800s and shit. They would even like raid certain areas to take slaves of these Jakes. Yeah. So you had Judah. He had a lot of Judites that was shipped over there as well. And they was like 1/3 of the population of Manila and shit by 1621. So you have a lot of Judites that are also over there, that's why how Jake's end up over there. That's how Jake got scattered, man. And then those Jakes that were already over there ended up over here. It was in 1621, right? Which means you have a lot of Judite speckled birds over there as well. As this car. That's how people got scattered a lot of times through slavery and shit. But yeah, these devils and heathens committed a lot of atrocities. All this was abolished, was so-called, hardcore slavery and shit was abolished. Individualism and slave and shit was abolished for industrialization. Same, the industrial revolution. Same, same reason it was so-called abolished in Babylon. So now the corporations are the ones that own you. Really, the elites are the ones that own you now. So we're still in their hands. No, so they gotta pay for that. Hold on, I can. Yeah, man. What was I at? Then you might remove them far from the border. Verse 7 of Joel chapter 3. Behold, I'll raise them out of the place, whether ye have sold them, and I'll return your recompense upon your own head. Verse 8, and I'll sell your sons and your daughters into the hand of the children of Judah. They shall sell them to the Sabaeans, to the people far off, for Yahweh has spoken it. So they're going to pay for that in the kingdom. And Armageddon is also payback for what they did. Yeah. Verse 9, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war, wake up the mighty men. All the men of war draw near, let them come up. Verse 10, beat your plowshares and the swords, and your pruning hooks and the spears. Hold on. Let the weak say I'm strong. You know, in Iran, for example. Even those 1948ers didn't used to have nukes. Used to be Babylon Salakia, yo. Used to be just Babylon. There's a Babylon in Russia. And then there was the UK. And then 1948ers, or either France or 1948ers. Even though they say they don't got none, they lying. You got that nuclear reactor in Dimona and shit. They don't let nobody look at it. But they say that, Iran should open up its facilities, Esau's hypocrisy. But let me get hold on. Verse 11, assemble yourselves and gather. Come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about. Thither cause the Almighty wants to come down, O Yahweh. Verse 17, let the heathen be wakened and come to the valley of Yahweh Shaphat, for there I'll sit to judge the heathen round about. Hold on. Be in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Hold on. Get you down, for the press is full, fats overflow, for the wickedness is great. Verse 14, multitudes, in the valley decision, for the day of Yahweh is near, in the valley decision. Yahweh Shaphat is Yahweh's judgment. Hold on. Verse 15, the sun and moon shall be darkened, and the stars shall withdraw their shining. Verse 17, so ye shall know that I am Yahweh, your power dwelling in Zion. Verse 16, Yahweh also shall roar out of Zion and utter his voice from Jerusalem. People for a place, and the heavens and earth shall shake. But Yahweh will be the hope of his people and the strength of the children of Israel. 19. So you shall know. So you shall know that I am Yahweh your power, the one in Zion, my holy mountain, that shall Jerusalem be holy, and there shall no strangers pass through her anymore. Okay, so yeah, these 948ers, these Ishmaelites, and these other heathens are not going to pass through our land no more, or through our people, through where our people are at, you know. So with that, hold on. I think I'm gonna cut it short. Hold on. I'm gonna just finish with these verses. Verse 18, it shall come to pass in that day that my mouth shall drop down new wine, and the hills shall flow with milk, and all the rivers of Judah shall flow waters with the kingdom, basically. The fountain shall come forth out of the house of Yahweh and shall water the valley of Shittim. Verse 19, Egypt shall be desolation, and Edom shall be a desolate wilderness. Speaking of this place, spiritually Sodom and Egypt. What about Edom? Edom shall be a desolate wilderness. There you go. For the violence against the children of Judah, because they have shed innocent blood in their land. Con. Babylon the Great. Gonna be big. Gonna be a huge desert, uninhabitable. After these nukes hit and the lake of fire burns completely, places through. But yeah, verse 20, but Judah shall dwell forever, and Jerusalem for generation to generation. Verse 21, for cleanse their blood, they have not cleansed, for Yahweh dwelt in Zion. And with that, I'm going to wrap it up. Hope this live was edifying. I want to give all praise to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, Ba'Shem Rakah Kadash, double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Salutations to the Akim out there. Spread this truth like wildfire sincerely. Shalom to the elect among the Israelite foreigners who look like the other nations. and shalom to the real sisters out there. You saw you going down, you're through, it's over for you, done too much. You had a short time and now it's up and y'all call out y'all about shimmy outside for that. All right. Hey, call out y'all about shimmy outside about shimmer kakadash for that. And until next time, shalom. Stay strong. Akim and Aqua, sincere. Hopeful act. Hopeful 130 and 144K. Shalom. Yashral forever and above all.